wild shore of an inland sea. That's what the country around the Pukaskwa River was to us. It was a tough place to make a living. No one ever got rich logging, trapping, or prospecting the Pukaskwa. But we managed. Some of us liked it enough to spend most of our lives here. I guess it's the remoteness of the place that appealed to us. At least it did to me. Like buried treasure, it was tough to get to, tucked away like it is up there in the corner of Lake Superior. In those days, before the Trans-Canada Highway was put through, the Pukaskwa country was a long way from anywhere. When they built the Trans-Canada, they had to go way around, leaving 700 square miles of wilderness completely untouched. It hasn't changed much, and it looks like it's going to stay that way now that they've made it into a park. It's called Pukaskwa National Park. There's only the one access road into the visitor center at Hattie Cove. That's where you register if you plan on heading off into the wilderness on foot or by canoe. Our old trails down the coast to our trapline cabins are still there. They've improved them a bit and deviated here and there to take in the best scenery, but otherwise the land is unchanged.
Oh, wow, look at that.
It was the glaciers that are to blame for this rugged landscape. They last went through here about 10,000 years ago. That's why the tops of the hills are rounded off. The glaciers carried away all the topsoil and dumped it down there in the U.S. They got the topsoil, and we got the scenery. You can still see the scratches in the rocks made by the boulders embedded under a mile of ice. One of the most interesting things you'll see in Pukaskwa are those cobblestone beaches that rise hundreds of feet above Superior's shore. I always thought some great storms of long ago threw these boulder beaches up there. Then I read where the land is slowly rebounding back from the weight of the glaciers. They say the land is rising over a foot every 1,000 years. Yes, the glaciers left a very rugged landscape. With a sweep of 300 miles of open water, you can imagine the waves that pound the shores in those fall storms. It's so cold and windy that we've got plants here that think they're living in the Arctic. Biologists tell me it's very rare to find plants like the saxifrage this far south. It seems to like the harsh climate along the shore. And this pitcher thistle thinks it's living in the desert. You wouldn't find it anywhere else for hundreds of miles to the south. About the only thing that has it easy here is the sundew. It lives on bugs, and goodness knows there's no shortage of them. Pukaskwa National Park is a wilderness area. Life here goes on as it has for thousands of years. But there's something here for everybody. Some of the best scenery can be enjoyed right out of the visitor center at Hattie Cove. The displays there will give you a good idea of what the park has to offer.
I know where it goes. Oops, uh-oh. I know where it goes.
You can come back in at any point. start right over there by
The
that
trail down the
large
coast
pine tree.
begins at the visitor center, but there are also many short, easy trails leading out to the Superior Shore. The protected waters of Hattie Cove make it an ideal place for families. There's a nice variety of terrain around Hattie Cove for people who are just passing through. There's a lot you'll miss, though, if you're in too big a hurry. You've got to slow down and open your eyes to what's there.
They strung them all together with a chain. Anybody for coffee?
Oh, great. I love a cup.
What's that?
Sure.
Want to pass the sugar?
Can't find the sugar.
You can get a pretty good feel for the country along the trails out of the visitor center. You can see for miles down the coast right into the heart of Pukaskwa. Our trail down the coast is still there for those who love wilderness. If you're too young, you can look forward to the time when you will be able to follow the trail all the way down the coast to one of my favorite places, the Cascade Falls. Those who are unable to hike the whole trail don't have to feel cheated. The biggest and most spectacular river in the park, the White River, is only a half-day's journey from the visitor center. Most of the rivers are too small for canoeing, but there are a couple. For those with the adventurous spirit and whitewater skills, there is the White River and the beautiful Pukaskwa River itself.
That's for sure. Yeah, we're almost airborne on the ledges. Yeah. You needed that to get through them. Freezing through there? What? Rocks up there. Yeah, we go left. Looks pretty shallow, eh? Okay.
In high water, the Pukaskwa River can be dangerous. It's no place to be learning how to paddle. In low water, anytime after June, it's a long walk to Lake Superior. Catch it just right, and you won't find a more spectacular river anywhere. One look at this country and you'll know why the park's people have set up a registration system for anyone hiking, canoeing, or boating in the park. It's a big country to get lost in.
I think it is better with bare feet. Better watch those bear paths. It's kind of slippery.
Some of our old trapline cabins are still in pretty good condition. They weren't much to look at, but for us it was home for a good part of the year.
I don't know if I can.
I think it must be the old logging dam.
Most of the logging in the Pukaskwa country was done along the Pukaskwa River. The old dam has stood up amazingly well. The bunkhouses have not fared as well as the dams, but you can still see the remains. They last logged here about 1930. One of the greatest pleasures of a logger was the steaming hot fruit pies that came out of those old stoves. A man could work from dawn to dusk just thinking about those pies. Logging was hard, back-breaking work in those days. Dangerous, too, especially on the log drives. They must have liked the life here, though. Many of them came back year after year. The women and children, too. Some of them never left. The only cabin from the logging days that's still standing is the old Fletcher house near the mouth of the Pukaskwa River. All the other places here have returned to the earth. Once the roof goes, they rot very quickly. This cabin is all that remains of a whole community way off here in the wilderness. It was called the Pukaskwa Depot. The stone structures that can be found along the shoreline are one of the most interesting things about the Pukaskwa. They figure the Indians made them, but nobody knows why. It's one of the secrets of the park. Sometimes I worry about people paddling Superior. The deadly cold of the water and the unpredictable weather make it a very dangerous place. An upset very far from shore would mean certain death. It can be a cold and cheerless place. But it's amazing the way a campfire and some hot tea among friends can change all that. There are places I have seen that I would love to show you, but you couldn't see it all in a lifetime. Whether you walk the paths around Hattie Cove or venture into the deepest part of the park, it is a beautiful land, and it has a lot to tell us if only we can learn to listen to what it has to say.